Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Ali Moreno and Stevie Nicol. Christian Pulisic, the Chelsea attacker, has written a book.
Oh, okay.
It comes out next month. Here is an extract from it. He doesn't like Thomas Tuchel, basically, is what we get from this. Tuchel told me that he was resting me for the second leg. We were talking about the Champions League semi-final, and as a result, I didn't play a single minute in the Fulham game. Then on match day of the second semi, Tuchel tells me he's changed his mind and he's going with Kai Havertz. I honestly was dumbfounded and very disappointed. I thought that I'd earned a start, and most importantly, he had assured me previously I was going to start. He obviously came off the bench, didn't he? The assist to guarantee them a place in the final. Scored in the first leg, said that he didn't do what Tuchel told him, but still went ahead and scored that goal. Gab Marcotti is with Gab. Let's start with you. It's all a bit dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing about this, which I find really fascinating, and we may get the answer to this, is having written several books with footballers in the past, I know there's a lead time in this. So it's not as if, oh look, Tuchel's gone, let me say all these bad things about him and let me get all my criticism of Tuchel out of the way. He would have said this before, and the publishing schedule, I'm assuming, would have been set well when Tuchel was still there. So the message it sends to me is that Pulisic was prepared to come out and say these things, even with Tuchel in charge at Chelsea. And to me, that's a story. And, you know, that, depending how you read it, that means either Pulisic is extremely confident in his position, that he can say this and not hurt Tuchel's feelings or face repercussions, or maybe confident that he might be playing somewhere else after the World Cup. But, you know, we have to read this through the lens as something that, when he wrote it, he expected it to come out with Tuchel still in charge.
Okay. Why? Why do you need to write a book? You're a multi-millionaire.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I would say, though, that clearly and unsurprisingly, Tuchel had lost him. And so it makes no difference to Pulisic what Tuchel thinks of this book, whether Tuchel was still there or not, because he's completely lost him. You can't do that with players. If you tell a player something, or you promise a player something, and you don't, you turn around at the last minute and say, oh, by the way, I've changed my mind, you've lost him.
Right.
Forget it.
Right.
Forget it. And it's actually Tuchel's fault. I've done it myself. I've told a player at the beginning of the week, you know what, you're playing at the weekend. And as the week's going on, I've changed my mind, but I couldn't change it because I knew I would lose the player.
Right.
So that's down to Tuchel. You don't go telling players one thing, and then when it comes to it, you do something else. You completely lose the player, and quite clearly, Pulisic couldn't care less what Tuchel thinks. Otherwise, he wouldn't have put it in the book.
But just to go back to my original question, why? What have you got to gain by publishing this?
Well, because somebody's told you that people are interested in what you have to say, and you've got a story, and even though you're only 22, whatever it is...
24.
Just 24, sorry. There, people are interested. Well, that's why.
Get ready for the book franchise, because this is his journey so far.
Sure. And other footballers have done it, and we would be just as critical of them writing books at 22 and 23. This isn't a anti-Pulisic thing.
No.
This is me looking on the outside, looking in and thinking, what have you really got to gain by publishing this?
And when your story is not done or just yet, there's so much more for you to write in your career as a professional player, as an international player. There's so many more chapters in your life that you're going to learn from, and that you're going to improve because you went through these experiences. And you are somehow focused on writing this book now because it's ahead of the World Cup, because it's going to create some sort of buzz. I just don't see the point. I don't see what is it that you're achieving here. I don't see what you're gaining here. And again, I say it half jokingly, half seriously, but if you're writing your book and your title is My Journey So Far, it's because there's a second one coming. Yeah. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. At this point in his life, you know what he should be focused on? How can I get on the field and stay on the field consistently? That should be the main focus. How do I prepare myself best for the World Cup? How do I best represent my country? That's the focus. All the other stuff is distractions that you do not need. Nobody needs them. Not Christian Pulisic or not any other player.
And go on, Gab.
No, I just want to say I was a bit surprised by what Stevie said about, when you tell a player he's going to start and then you as a coach change your mind. I mean, I would have thought surely Tuchel's job depends on delivering results. And if he changes his mind, whether through gut instinct or whether because he simply changes his mind, surely as a coach, you have to put out whatever the best 11 you think is on that day, no matter what you might have told players before.
Well, yeah, but part of your job is to keep the players on side. So you're not going to keep anybody on side by telling them one thing, and particularly this situation, the semi-final of the Champions League, and you just pull the rug away. What do you think is going to happen? So, yes, things are not always black. Things are not just black and white, guys.
So,
I can't argue that you have to.
So he should have never told them beforehand.
Absolutely not. He should have kept his trap shut. Yeah. He should never have told them he was going to play in the Champions League semi-final and then the day of pull the rug. What do you think is going to happen?
How do the teammates feel about this?
That makes sense.
This being public.
Well, the teammates don't really care.
Right.
The other players don't care. They'll all be laughing, going, "What are you doing writing a book? You're only 24."
Right.
And they'll go and do a five-a-side.
And that'll be it. And it'll be forgotten. It'll be no problem.
That'll be it. It'll be no problem.
Well, I would go as far as to say I would get a copy of the book and say, "Can you sign it for me? Can you dedicate it to me, please?"
Well, somebody's convinced them to do it because it will make money. Look, do this. It'll make money. People in America are interested. It was a big seller in America. So go and do it, and they did it.
Let's stick with Chelsea, of course. Big news today. Christoph Freund, who we thought was going to come in, didn't we, as like director of football? Well, he's turned that down now, saying that we're in the middle of a very intense phase. He's talking about Red Bull Salzburg and have important tasks to do in the Austrian Bundesliga Cup and Champions League. That's what my focus and concentration are all on. I would ask, if you were so concentrated, why even speak to Chelsea, Gav?
100%. I mean, he said, you had to do it when a club like Chelsea comes calling. Again, I don't want to make fun of Salzburg, but when you put it like that, it's hard not to. I'm sorry, what important things do you have to do? The market, the transfer window has closed. You've won, I think, the last 37 consecutive titles by 1 million points. You will probably do it again because you are the wealthiest and best run club in Austria by far. Surely there's something else behind it. I'm assuming maybe it's a bigger role within the Red Bull organization. Maybe not now, maybe down the road. I would hope that it's some sort of Red Bull counter-offer that did this, rather than him looking at Chelsea, looking at Bowley, looking at the people around him and saying, ooh, I don't really want to be a part of this. Because obviously, like you said, career-wise, there's no comparison. He served Salzburg, he's done his job there, so I can't imagine him doing a 180 based on, him seeing something at Chelsea that he didn't like, but rather, I must have been Red Bull pulling at its heartstrings, maybe with the raise and more responsibility.
Things aren't going that well at Chelsea at the moment, they can.
Well, I mean, they need a director of football. We've all said it from day one. You can't have Todd Bowley as your interim sports director. I don't think it's something he wants to do, and it's something that I don't think he was particularly good at. So, they got to get moving. They've been linked with the guy at Bayer Leverkusen, who, frankly seems several orders of magnitude down from the people they were linked with before. Obviously, Michael Edwards at Liverpool, Paul Mitchell at Monaco. Maybe he could come back into the frame. I would have thought Chelsea would have had a ton of appeal. Or maybe less so, because, and I go back to this, there's 300 million less to spend because they spent it all in the summer to buy players for Thomas Tuchel, who they then fired 6 days, after the transfer window shut. That could be a possibility too.
Meanwhile, Gam, Champions League games in the States. Tell us more.
Yeah, this isn't a new thing. I mean, I think Chefrin threw it out there 3 or 4 years ago, the UEFA president. But it's come back to the fore this week. UEFA's executive committee meeting in Croatia on the lovely island of Hvar. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. The Pulisic family, no doubt, could pronounce it better than I can. And then later, the European Clubs Association meeting in Istanbul as well. This is on the table. The idea is that, is this something we want to do? Is it going to be lucrative? The answer to that is probably yes. How lucrative? Is it worth our while? Is it going to upset fans? I think at this stage, the only things that what they're probably considering is what's been talked about before. Rather than having a Super Cup between the Europa League winner and the Champions League winner, what if you had in preseason to sort of kick off your season? What if you had some sort of Final Four tournament? Maybe you invite the two Champions League finalists from the previous year, plus the Europa League and the Europa Conference League winner, and you have something maybe in the U.S. Would that be more appealing than some of those summer tours that we see? The broader backdrop to this is obviously clubs wanting more and more and more revenue, and it's not just the games that bring you revenue, it's the exposure when you travel abroad. That's why you have them abroad rather than in Europe, or rather I should say outside Europe, and probably to some degree as well, UEFA wanting to kind of elbow their way a little bit on the global stage. I think it's an open secret that the relationship, while supposedly it's thawing between UEFA and CONMEBOL on one side and FIFA on the other, hasn't been great in the past. They've clashed. Is this a way of expanding UEFA's footprint a little bit? And how will FIFA and CONCACAF as well, I would assume, how would they react to it? So that's why this is on the table. I don't expect anything concrete other than perhaps some sort of working group to go and study this possibility. I don't expect anything else to come out of it at this stage.
Good stuff, Gab. As always, thank you very much. Just a reminder, you can listen to more of Gab on the latest edition of the Gab and Jules podcast, which is available now to listen to over on the website. Now, we've discussed this a lot, haven't we, over the last couple of days? Those racist chants that were heard on the day of Atleti against Real Madrid, and what has been striking, how little reaction that we've heard to that coming out of Spain. That changed today. All started off with the Prime Minister coming out and saying, I am a great follower of Atletico Madrid, so I was very sad. I expected a strong message from the clubs against these types of behaviours, and this is what I'll ask for from my team. Then finally, we heard Atleti release a statement which said, amongst other things, Atletico Madrid strongly condemns the unacceptable chants that a minority of fans made outside the stadium before the derby. We cannot allow anyone to link our fans with this behaviour and question our values because of a minority that does not represent us. We will not stop until we expel those involved from the red and white family because they cannot be part of it. Let's welcome in, shall we, Gemma Soler, of course, based in Spain. Gemma, are you surprised, are people surprised in Spain that it's taken this long for anyone to address this issue?
Hola, Dan. Yes, of course, most people in Spain are surprised because this took 48 hours to that awful actions that we all have seen repeatedly on TV, and because this has just happened after our president said that words, condemning that fact, showing that he's so much disappointed for that little reaction. Then that Atletico Madrid statement happened. It's yes that it's strong, and they will be prosecuting that persons that did that, and they will expose the members will be banned for coming back to Atletico Madrid Stadium, but they consider it's a weak answer to that awful things that pictures we saw on this weekend, and they also somehow justify that actions because of the climate that happened, because probably the media, and there was this kind of debate in Spain before this derby of Madrid was happening.
Now, we've heard them come out and they've made this statement, as you say, that they're going to fine these fans and they're going to expel them. Are they really?
We have to wait, okay? So now we're waiting for La Liga are filing an official complaint with the Anti-Violence Commission and the Spanish Football Federation. And on Thursday there is a meeting and they will start to analyze the offense. Of course, it's something very serious, and we need to wait for some time for investigation to do this right. But they are investigating both what happened inside and outside the stadium. Of course, outside it's probably more we can see it better because there were a lot of cameras and people singing that awful chants. We have a little bit. We can start thinking what will be happening, and we heard that on when José Manuel Franco, he's the Secretary of Sports, and he said that the law would take action and that he thinks there are evidence, signs of a hate crime. This is something very serious. We have to wait if they consider this is minor. I honestly think that won't be minor, and this is just a fine of about $100 approx, or if it's a felony. And we are talking about that these people that are in these pictures could be facing a fine of $600,000, and they could be banned to get into a sports stadium, not just football, any sport stadium between 2 and 5 years. So we have to wait for that consideration, and then we have to wait for the actions of Atletico Madrid, who, as we saw in the statement, they are asking the support of this investigation to see if these members are banned or not. I know there is a lot of pressure right now in the media, and I think actions will be taken. I think this time, thankfully, it will be taken more seriously than in the past, because we have had this kind of actions before, earlier in Spain, and nothing happened.
Just to refer to the quote that you're talking about, this is from José Manuel Franco, who is the Spain Secretary of State for Sport. We will apply the full weight of the law. I consider them, the racist chants, as criminals. We have to analyse all the information that arrives to the Anti-Violent Commission, and they'll be transferred to the Justice Department so that they can act. What's the temperature regarding this, Gemma? I'm intrigued because obviously from the outside looking in, you know, we hear those chants and we're disgusted by it. Is that collectively followed in Spain, or is there some justification about it because it's only football, because it's only pantomime, because it's not real?
So I think for many years in Spain, we have had a problem with that. It was something taken not too many seriously. I was seeing it first. I remember when I was a kid and I was going to the stadium and they were chanting awful chants to Roberto Carlos, and it was something kind of fun and nobody would say that. This, of course, has changed. It's very difficult to explain, but in Spain it's maybe a country that hasn't got open to the world until 45 years. We were in a dictatorship, and we haven't had that many race mixing as probably we can find in the rest of course, America or Europe, in France and Germany, of course, the UK. So here things took more time. So now I think most of the society, I want to think that take that in a more serious way, but maybe not too much. And there are some clubs who have done their homework earlier. I'm talking about especially the two bigger clubs, Real Madrid and Barcelona. They did that in the early 2000s. And some other clubs, they haven't, I don't know if they haven't been able to do it or they didn't take that too seriously. Actually, we're talking about, it's a different situation, but Atletico Madrid had a sanction last year of UEFA because some supporters, when they went to the Etihad Stadium, they did some fascist salute and they had these 5,000 seats empty. This never happened because they were knocked out from the Champions League and this sanction was never applied. So I think a part of the society are still not aware of how bad this is, how this thing is awful, and they say, okay, this is a sport, it's some kind of fun. And we had some debate in the media, awful debate just before this derby happening, and I think this is one of the motivations of what happened just outside the Metropolitano. So I think we must do much more here in Spain to fight against racism, sexism, and homophobia and those kind of behaviors that are actually happen. And I think that international media is attention and pressure, and even our president saying that will be helping. I think in this situation there will be stronger actions, because we have seen this in the past with Dani Alves. They threw a banana, or last year when this Juan Cala and Pape Diop incident, nothing happened. So I think this time it will be taken much more seriously.
Let's hope so, and let's see how this develops. Meanwhile, Gemma, away from Madrid, big story breaking out of Barcelona. Looks like it's going to drop on Wednesday regarding a leaked document showing Lionel Messi's demands for staying at Barcelona.
Yes, this is a story that will be happening this Wednesday. The newspaper El Mundo, they already had the contract, the multimillionaire contract of Messi as a scoop. They got that leaked, and now they are leaking a lot of documents, emails, WhatsApps, conversations with what Messi and their representatives, their family, were asking to have his renewal in 2020. This was just before that burofax that he eventually said he wanted to go, and these are like crazy request to us for the renewal. He was asking for 3 more seasons until 2023, a private box at the Camp Nou for himself, his family, and Luis Suarez family. 10 million euro renewal bonus, private plane to Argentina for his family on Christmas, and much more, especially some requests that now these days that they don't look that well, like recovering the wage cuts during the pandemic with a 3% of increase rate. So this was something that President Bartomeu didn't accept at that time. He accepted a lot of these conditions, some of them that he considered it was impossible, he did not. We have to wait. Of course, this has just happened in Spain. We need to wait for what Messi's family, I'm sure they will respond on that, what they have to say. But this can maybe make us understand why the divorce of Messi and Barcelona happened, because we can still not understand. We didn't have all the information. So we have to wait to see, to analyze, to listen to Messi's family and of course, representative, his father, reply, and to see what happens there and what really happened. I'm sure these documents are true because they were true before, but it can put a little bit of light in a story that we couldn't really understand. It's too early to say, Dan, but it can put some light to that abrupt end, and that's such a surprising story.
I wonder who could have possibly leaked it. Gemma, thank you very much, as always, for joining us. You can check out a lot more analysis from what's going on in La Liga and beyond on our YouTube channel. Be sure to go over there and subscribe.
Oh, one team. One team has improved.
Have Arsenal improved?
No.
Arsenal have improved.
Have they improved?
Yes. I think
well, they was great against Palace, were they?
Well, they won 2-0.
No, they did. They played exactly they played exactly the same way they played last year. So how does that improve?
That is the now infamous quote from Steve Nicol talking about Arsenal not improving.
See that? No. I didn't see.
Arsenal top of the table. Wait, let me just go. Arsenal top of the table. 1 point clear at the moment as we go into the international break. The floor is yours, Steve Nicol.
I asked you a question. They played one game.
Yes.
And they did win the game.
Yes.
But they did all the things in that one game we were talking about.
Why are you still digging?
No, that one game we were talking about, they did all the things they'd done the previous season.
But they won.
And I asked you, so have they improved? I didn't say they haven't improved. I asked you the question, do you want to replay that?
I said, have they improved? And you said no.
I didn't say no.
You did play the clip again.
Go play
the clip again.
I did not say no.
You did.
I did not say no.
You
I just
did.
sat here and listened to it. I just sat here and listened
There
to
it
it.
is.
No.
They improved.
Yes. I think
Well, they was great against Palace, were they?
Well, they won 2-0.
No, they did. They played exactly they played exactly the same way they played last year. So how does that improve? So where
So,
in that,
I rest my case.
So where in that conversation did I say no?
You said where
I
have
was
they-
talking about that game.
Oh my
that
God,
they did
Stevie, you're
exactly
so
the,
stubborn,
They did
man. You are
exactly the
so
same
stubborn.
things.
Oh
They did
my
exactly
God.
the same things as they did the previous
Right.
season. That's what I said.
Okay.
Well, if you want to get into semantics, I didn't say no.
You said where have they improved? What is that?
Does that say no?
Yes, it is.
Oh, so in your mind.
Oh, in everybody's
In
mind.
your
Steve.
mind.
In
Oh, no.
everybody's
Hey,
mind.
Hey, Your Honour.
My
I didn't say.
goodness
Did you
gracious.
say no? No, I didn't say no. Thank you. I rest my case.
Okay, but now we can sit and we can have a proper conversation and say they have improved. on
You
last
mean this
season.
wasn't a proper conversation?
Steve.
Yes, absolutely, they've improved.
Right.
No question. They've almost made the perfect signings. That's made them so much better, and the way they move the ball. I mean, you can tell they all believe in what they're doing. It's undoubted, no question. But
there it is.
as much as they're sat at the top of the table,
Yes.
again,
Yeah.
they've had one real test,
Right.
and they failed it.
Okay.
So, as well as they're doing right now, and yes, they have improved.
Right.
Will they be in the top 4 though?
Yes.
Well, that's clearly what you think.
What you've just said is they've had one test and they failed,
Yes.
but every other test they've passed. And what I mean by that is you can lose to Manchester United, you can lose to Manchester City, you can lose to Liverpool, but you can still comfortably finish in the top 4 if you're beating all the other sides in the manner that they are.
That is correct. That's a correct statement.
Okay.
But then, what happens if Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, City, United, what if they all do the same thing? Then it's going to be tight, right?
I think you've
So you
given
can't turn around and say Arsenal are definitely going to be in the top 4. You cannot. You can say they're going to be competing for top 4,
Right.
and I will definitely say they will compete for the top 4.
So let me ask you this, who's your top 4 right now?
Right now, the way the teams are playing,
Yes.
Arsenal are in it right
Right.
now.
Okay.
The way they're playing.
Right, well that's the only way we can judge it, isn't it?
But,
That's the only way we can have this conversation.
well, you can't definitively say they're going to be in the top 4. You can say right now, if they continue to do what they're doing,
Right.
and get the results they're getting,
Yes.
then things are looking really good for top 4.
Okay.
However, as I've just said,
Okay.
if all the other teams who we expect to beat all the other sides, other than your Liverpools and your Man Cities,
Right.
and all the big games,
Yes.
if they continue to beat all the other teams they're supposed to,
Yeah.
it's going to be very tight.
But they've already dropped the ball in that perspective. If we're talking about Chelsea, for example, Southampton in the league.
We're 8 games in, and you're just trying to. You're basically saying that all the other teams are going to be the same today. They were the same.
I'm saying that
next
Arsenal
May.
are ahead of the pack at the moment.
Right now. Well, I've just agreed with you.
Right, okay. Well, that's good.
So,
But that's never enough
Oh,
for you.
there
is
we
it?
go.
It's never enough for you. Hey, but even a rational argument against them being in the top
No, it's,
4,
you
won't
it's an
accept
interesting
it.
discussion, and it's a discussion I'm going to miss having with you, because obviously you're not going to be with us for a while.
where are you going, Steve?
Like, where am I going?
Stevie's having an operation on his arm. So this will be
Alright,
it.
Oh, it's not my vocal cords.
That is it. That brings
No,
us
they
to the
won't.
end of today's show.
No way. I didn't say no.
No?
At any stage.
No?
It doesn't feel like that was a
Twice.
concession at all.
You played it twice,
Yep.
and no was not in the
Goodbye.
conversation. Correct?
Extra time is next.
No,
Correct?
no.
Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Stevie and Ali with us here in the studio. Mark Clattenburg joins us as well for Extra. Mark, are you wearing a captain's armband?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I'm looking after you guys.
Oh my goodness me. Meanwhile, serious news. Steve Nichol's having an operation tomorrow. We wish you all the best, Stevie.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we want you to be safe and well.
Oh, thank you very much.
Just explain what's going to be happening. What's the problem?
The problem is my tendons and my muscles have separated from my shoulder.
Oh.
And they're going to be reattached.
Okay, so this means that there's going to be quite a period of recovery.
Yes.
And what state will your arm be in this?
I'm going to look a right dauber. I'm going to have to walk around like this for 46 weeks, like that.
Brilliant.
I mean, how stupid am I going to look walking about like this?
Well, it's going to be quite interesting.
Oh.
How are you going to be able to drink a beer like that? Hey!
I've already thought of that.
There you go. So when were you back here?
I don't know. Depends when I can get some clothes on.
What? I'm sorry, what? What?
Sorry. Depends when I can get his shirt on.
Oh dear. Mark, it's International Week, of course. Did you like International Week as a ref?
No, the problem was we still had matches as international referees. You always had at least one international match, so it wasn't a break like some of the other Premier League referees will have. So it was a chance now to get out of the Premier League and referee some of the important international matches. But the Nations League's different. It wasn't like a normal competition where qualification meant something. The Nation League sometimes can be quite a difficult competition where there's nothing to play for.
Where was the worst place you had to referee internationally?
No, there was never really bad, but sometimes when you went to Eastern Europe, the food, the travel, the distance, the time difference, always, like, for example, Azerbaijan was always difficult because you arrived midnight. The food was always difficult. I remember getting food poisoning. And also, arriving back, and you used to arrive back sometimes late on a Friday night, and you had a Premier League game sometimes Saturday or a Sunday, so it was always difficult for recovery.
Did anybody ever try and nobble you?
We cannot say this live on air, can we?
Mr. Clattenburg, welcome to whatever.
Right.
And, look at this.
No, just make both arms not work.
Now, can I just say that Mark was very clear to point out during the show that he had ref the Champions League final.
Champions League final, yes, the Madrid derby.
Yes, and right now, quietly, in between the lines, he pretty much just said, well, I was better than most referees in the Premier League, and so therefore I had to go and referee.
I was the international referee.
Yes, international, the other guys were not.
Yes, whilst the others, I had to go
serves you right for getting food poisoning there. Right?
Team captain over here, Mark Clattenburg.
Mark, in your opinion, which top 5 league has consistently the best referees?
It's interesting. If you look, for example, English Premier League, they have the troubles. They have the troubles not because, if we talk about the referees, I think we have good referees in England, we have good referees in the US, we have good referees in Italy, Spain. The problem is the VAR. The VAR is making the referees inconsistent. The referees are frightened to make a decision. And if the referees go back to the basics, I believe that we look at the Premier League, we look at Spain. The top leagues always have the best referees. Holland, for example, the Dutch referees have refereed the last World Cups, Euros, Italy, the same. The top nations always have, but the VAR is damaging the way the referees are now refereed.
You haven't really answered that question, Mark.
It's difficult to say which, because we can say England, but we have the problems with the VARs. Every country has the problem with VARs. Look, we say in Italy 2 weeks ago in Juventus, when we give it the VAR, failed to recognise that a player was in an offside position. So which league do we say? We always have the same problems.
Do you secretly hope that all English referees in the future fail? So then people look back and go, oh, do you remember Mark Clattenburg?
That guy was
did that
special.
Champions League final. He was great.
No, it's different, because in my era we didn't have VAR. I think now...
So it was harder.
We have 2 English referees now at the World Cup, Michael Oliver and Anthony Taylor. And for me, we have 2 good referees. They need luck. For example, England not to qualify for the latter stages so that they do the bigger matches when the latter stages, for example, the semi-final and final. So they need luck. I believe that English referees are good, but they need luck with the VAR, that if there is an incident that needs to be seen, that they don't cause any controversial moments. And when I was in the Euro in the 2016, we didn't have VAR and there was no controversial moments, and that's why I refereed the final.
You know what? Thank you.
Careful.
I won't be able to do that tomorrow. I'm doing it tonight because I can't do it tomorrow.
You know what I heard there from Mark as well? essentially, when England is playing an international tournament and Mark was a referee, he's over there sitting, watching at home, going, "No, don't score, don't score."
That's a good point, Mark. Did you have to put your allegiance to England aside because you wanted them to fail because you knew that you could then go to the final?
Yeah, because, for example, in the Euro, I knew I had a chance at the final. And then I was told if England lost against Iceland, I knew I had the big chance of the final. And when England lost against Iceland, I was the only English fan in the whole world that was jumping up and down. But then I forgot. And I forgot, hold on. Then I forgot that we had Wales. And when Wales beat Belgium, I started to panic because I forgot that Wales are a part of the English nation, which means if Wales got to the final, I couldn't referee.
Oh, wow. That was never going to happen. Okay, for Ali, start one, bench one, sell one. Leroy Sané, Vinicius Junior, Ousmane Dembele.
Start Vinicius Junior. Bench Dembele, sell Sané.
To Mark, have you ever met Pierluigi Collina? How does a referee go about intimidating players on the pitch to respect him like he did? Would he have done well in the Premier League?
Yeah, I've met him many times. He was my boss in UEFA, and what he had probably over most referees was he had this way, his eyes, his personality, the way he looked at players. He gained respect, maybe by his decisions, maybe by the way he conducted himself with the players. The players respected him a lot. Would he have done well in the Premier League? You know, ask Everton the same question, like Everton asked me the same question. Always when referees from abroad used to referee English teams and made a wrong decision, they would criticise you. So if you ask Everton fans, Pierluigi Collina, 100% would not be in the Premier League. It's like anything else. It's a modern era. The game is fast. I think Pierluigi Collina, with his personality, would have done very, very well in the Premier League. Certainly now his style of management would be very, very good. But now, would he have adapted to VAR like the modern day referee? I'm not so sure.
Did he referee you at all?
No. Intimidated by refs, yeah, right.
Ali, is Rodrigo down the middle a long-term solution for Real Madrid?
It's a solution for now, but not long term. You still obviously would prefer Karim Benzema, and even when Benzema moves on, Rodrigo is not the answer. They'll find another player to play that position.
Mark, was there ever a manager during your time in England that was surprisingly nice to you when you were the ref or the fourth official?
When nice. It's interesting because if they're winning, every coach, Mourinho, Wenger, Ferguson, every coach was nice to you. The moment they were losing or they didn't get a penalty, they would abuse you. And I remember coaches, I remember Guardiola, for example, when I was fourth official at Manchester City, we had a good relationship as a referee. It was the first time I ever was a referee. The referee made a mistake on the pitch and he went crazy with me. He was blaming me as a fourth official for the referee's mistakes. And I had to remind him it wasn't me. But they never understood. They only cared about the decision.
There's a bus.
It's that guy over there.
Michael Oliver. Never.
I don't know what this guy is doing.
I'd love to know what the referees thought when they came up to them and said, right, what we're going to do, we're going to have a fourth official.
Yeah.
You must have straight away went, oh no. Because I can tell you, I abused the life out of them. I was lucky that they couldn't understand me when I was raging.
But it's easy money though, isn't it, being a fourth official? You don't have to do anything. You just get abused.
You'd rather referee than be the fourth official.
No, but if you're going to get abused if you're refereeing, or you're going to get abused on the touchline, but at least this way you'd have to run around.
No, I'm sorry.
No?
Well, ask Mark. I bet you every day of the week he would rather referee the game than be the fourth official.
Well, it depends about his food poisoning.
I just want to... Can I ask a question to Stevie? He's just said he abuses the fourth official. That means, was he a substitute? He was never playing on the pitch. He was always a substitute. Because normally it's the substitutes that always abuse the fourth official.
Oh, Stevie, coaching days. You forget his MLS coaching days, Mark. Come on.
No, but the fourth official's standing. The fourth official is standing with a target on his back between both benches.
It's like a punching bag.
And the only thing that's going to happen is he's going to get abused.
Yeah.
From the get-go. So, that's why I'm saying you. I bet you. Well, answer me the question. Would you rather referee or be the fourth official? I bet he'd referee every day of the week.
Sure, it was always you wanted to be the referee because you're right. You were the punching bag in the middle. The only thing you could ever say to the coaches was when they've abused you, you would always say, look, I'm refereeing your team next week. So if you're going to keep abusing us, I'm going to be in the middle next week, influence the matches. So you always had that as a backup. But
I wouldn't
coaches,
recommend that either.
No, you had to have some backup, some coaches. So it's easier always being in the middle because you know what? You could always say to the fourth official, look, deal with it. I'm out in the middle, so therefore get on with it.
Yeah, I've got the coach's armband.
Again, I'm learning a lot from Mark. He was very quick to say when he was the fourth official, look, it's the guy in the middle making the mistakes. And now when he's in the middle, it's like, you fourth official, you deal with it.
To all, remind us again why Spurs is considered a Big Six club. I can't remember winning anything, and I'm 43 years old.
Big Six. Well, who's bigger than them?
Well, I suppose
below them.
if we're defining by trophies, then a lot of people.
Oh, if you're defined by trophies, then.
In that sense.
Well, who said they were a Big Big Six club anyway?
I think if you were to ask name the Big Six, I think generally people would go with those six, wouldn't they?
Right.
City, United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs.
But then what's the criteria?
Liverpool.
If it's not trophies, is it history?
Good job,
Is
man.
it, I mean, what is it? Is it more money than everybody else? What's the criteria? What's the criteria?
Just the Big Six club.
Well, that means nothing to me. That means nothing to me. Are they a Big Six club?
Who would you name as the Big Six clubs then?
Who are the biggest clubs in Britain?
Yes.
Right. Liverpool, clearly. Man United. City.
Right.
Chelsea.
Yes.
Arsenal.
Yes.
Here we go.
And I don't think...
Here we go. You can do
I
it.
don't think there's anybody else
Right.
that jumps ahead of Tottenham as far as the sixth spot. Am I missing somebody?
No, I don't know.
No.
So Spurs?
So I guess
they're the Big Six?
the answer to that is yes. They're part of the Big Six then.
There we go.
Have you
So
heard
it's
that?
not defined by silverware, because otherwise.
Well, clearly
Leicester,
not. I would have said
Blackburn.
Nottingham Forest, and you would have just laughed in my face. As you
I'd never
normally
do that to you, especially
No.
in your condition.
So you're going to be wearing a sling.
No, it's not a sling.
Or is it like in the movies?
No, it's like in the movie. You know when you used to watch comedy films?
Yeah.
And somebody, they usually make it so obvious they get all plastered.
Yes.
And there's a big metal thing, and they're walking
Yes.
about like that.
That's it?
Well, it's not the big metal thing, but it's going to look nicer, but it's going to be the same thing.
Brilliant.
I'm going to be walking about like that.
Oh dear, Stevie. It's going to be fun. Sleeping's going to be
Oh,
good.
it's going to be great.
Mark, just going back to Colina, what did he do to Everton, for those who don't know?
I think he blew for a foul just before the ball went inside the goal in a European competition. Then maybe latter stage of one of the UEFA competition. I think UEFA Cup it was. So it was one that, like, for example, when I upset Everton, always they used to put me and Pierluigi Colina together that were both damaged Everton in big games. So that's how I always remember being
What did you do, Mark, for those who don't know?
So he's putting
I did,
himself on the same level as Colina.
Of course he is.
Of
I
course he
think I
is.
protected Stevie Nichol's former club in a big derby match where I think I made so many mistakes in the second half. I think I should have sent off. I think I sent off 2 Everton players, should have sent off a Liverpool player, and should have given Everton a penalty in the last minute. If VAR was there,
Well,
it would have
could be.
been looked after.
To be
Well, you can't now rely on everything. Everything.
Hold on, let's get one thing clear. Everton never beat Liverpool for about 30 years.
Right. Well,
So-
that's because the referees were
So
against them.
I'm not sure it had anything to do with the referee being kind to us.
Didn't he just answer a question regarding the top 5 leagues and refereeing and said that the problem is VAR?
Yes.
And then he just said, well, if I had VAR, it would have been a
And it would
different
have been
story.
all right. Okay.
Yeah,
Final
sure.
question. We've talked about the pull string dolls that we could release for everybody on ESPN FC. They're asking what the 3 phrases that Stevie's doll would have.
Oh, jeez.
Lukaku!
I guess Lukaku
One.
would be in there.
Shepherd's pie, please, Eleanor.
Maybe aye.
And think you're a smarty pants, do you?
Aye, that would do, yeah.
I think those will be the 3.
Giving you smarty pants ways.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, I'll take those.
Stevie, good luck tomorrow. We've been
We wish
thinking
you
of
well.
you. We're wishing.
Can we come and visit you?
Wish you.
Hey, if anything goes wrong, tell Craig he can have my golf clubs.
Well,
I'm sure he'll be delighted.
definitely.
He'll be delighted.
Thank you very much, Mark. Enjoy your international week. We'll be back tomorrow for more. Craig will be here. I don't know what else is. Something else happening tomorrow. I can't remember what it is.
Are we gonna go visit you?
Gab's here, Don is here, and we'll have a live Zoom to Stevie.